The state tree of Vermont is the maple, and for good reason. It provides us with so much. Native Americans were the first sugar makers, and they taught the Europeans all about the process. Native Americans and the first pioneers made maple sugar because it was easier for them to store. Over the years, maple sugaring has become a part of Vermont culture. Traditional methods of tapping the trees and collecting the syrup in buckets, bringing it back with a team of horses, became a Vermont way of life. The early spring is sugaring time in our state. Little Vermont makes the most maple syrup in the United States. Franklin County is the leading producer of maple syrup in Vermont. There are festivals that celebrate the sugar-making season. Just outside of St. Albans, you'll find the Jean family maple sugar house. They are a relatively small family operation. They have over 8,000 taps and produce high-quality maple syrup. The Jeans use modern methods to make maple syrup, so you won't see any buckets and horse-drawn wagons. They've been replaced by tubes that carry the sap and four-wheelers, which get the guys around the woods. When the proper weather comes, trees are drilled and then tapped. A motor is used to drive a pump, which creates a vacuum, which literally sucks the sap from the trees down the tubes and into a central collection area. The trees also produce carbon dioxide, which is the little bubbles that you see traveling in the lines. It takes a lot of work to keep those sap lines clear and running. The pump at the bottom creates the vacuum, and that vacuum should remain consistent throughout the whole system. The gauge on the pressure tank at the top should read approximately the same as the one at the bottom. If not, there must be some leaks in the system that must be repaired. Maple sap is a sweet, water-like liquid. 40 gallons of sap needs to be gathered to make 1 gallon of maple syrup. A maple tree should be about 40 years old, or 8 inches in diameter. The trees release their sap in the springtime, March to April, when they start to wake up from their long winter's nap. The sap runs when the temperatures fall below freezing at night and then thaw during the day. The building that the maple syrup is produced is called a sugar house. Sap from the lines enters the sugar house through a 2-chamber valve system which maintains the vacuum.
Now it goes to the tank. It's in here.
Oh, that is so cool.
When this tank gets to a certain level, there's a pump in there, and it pumps it from this little tank.
So it gets it's a float pump, just like a... From here, the sap is pumped into this metal container, which when it gets to a certain level, it is then pumped into this large tank. The sap contains about 2% sugar content before it goes into a reverse osmosis process where the sap is concentrated, or the water taken out, so that it becomes around 17 to 18% concentrate. The newly concentrated sap is sent to a vessel upstairs, while the extracted water is pumped to tanks outside.
That stuff was almost syrup last night. Okay. So it won't be long before it.
The evaporator is the machine used to boil away or evaporate the water from the sap, leaving the rich, sweet maple syrup. Big Mike and his son Stephen tend to the evaporator. The syrup is heated to around 217 degrees and a certain density.
On the red line? A little bit over. So it's a little heavy.
Real strong.
It's a little sweet. He'll do it again. Watch.
Here while you were down that road and got turbo.
Look at that. That's perfect.
The evaporator hits a full boil. Mike and Steve constantly monitor the evaporator. Powdered seashells, or calcium carbonate, is temporarily added as a filtering medium. It's carefully mixed into the hot syrup by experts, and then it is filtered through another device, which removes any impurities.
After it comes out of the rig, I filter it.
Go through all those filters?
I'll go through all the filters and then we put inside to make sure it's in there.
The evaporator is really rolling now, pumping out the maple syrup. Young Mike Jean samples, inspects, and grades the syrup before it's ready to go into the barrels. A new grading system is now being used, weighing taste now more than color. The Jeans family Sugarhouse produces the finest quality maple syrup. The steam from the Sugarhouse smells amazing and offers simple pleasures.
I like it when there's no wind. When it's just going straight up in the air.
Maple sugar and candy is made by boiling the syrup longer to reduce the water content, then stirring until a sugar is formed. Enjoy pure maple products made in Vermont.